JK Peace Review.
I'll be on Twitch for a little bit after this video uploads to answer any of your questions. Alright, the last patch significantly nerfed most builds in the game, but I was working hard to find what the new meta is going to be. You can still use Bleeding Edge, but I figured out something better. You no longer will be able to clear 187 with little to no gear. However, this build can clear 187 in 4 minutes or less once you have that gear. As such, I won't be showing this build off with no armor like on my other build guides, as the game is just much more gear dependent now, and I imagine you would rather see the higher level content. There are a couple of different variations of this build. You can increase your defenses by 30 with a slight DPS increase, however this will cost you movement speed, which is counteracted by using Aether Jump. If you have Havoc Orb instead of Gunslinger's brand, you can use that, or you can use Gunslinger's brand, which is what I'll be showing off in this video. There's also a level 90 variation of this build that slightly alters things, not only increases your DPS, but increases your tankiness and lowers gear requirements to hit max crit. But because this is level 90, I will be doing that in a separate video. You can start this build without great gear, however you won't push past 100 to 127 or so until you get a specific item, Frostweave Quillituck. This will allow you to turn your frost chance into crit chance, giving you a 100% crit chance. And unlike the math on my Infinity Blade video, this one will actually get you to 100%. Again, I'm sorry for that, sometimes math is hard. This item will roughly double your DPS. You can also add the Trial Belt, which is best in slot for literally every build in the game. You can find people selling either one on Discord. Once I get extras, I'll go ahead and do giveaways for that. The extras I do have, I let a friend borrow so he could try the build. Once I get those back, I'll go ahead and do a giveaway. Eventually, I'll do a gold farming guide that nets you millions a day, making buying these pretty trivial. If you only have 4 skill slots, run Anomaly, Tears of Etheliel, Gunslingers, and Mark. Your 5th will be Avenger's Turret, and once you have Trial Belt, replace Mark with Phantom Blade. Alright, for abilities and modifiers, go ahead and go back to the beginning of the video to get a full screen of everything. I'm just going to go over the things you absolutely have to make the build work. For Anomaly, we're going to do Echoes of Infinity. Skill pulls in multiple times. Tie that in with an Event Horizon, makes each pull do damage. We are also going to do Rending of Matter, which allows you to cast it twice. We want to be able to cast twice because that's going to allow us to willpower dump and gain rage quicker. Damaging with the pull and pulling multiple times applies dots quicker. In this case, it's going to be stasis damage. For Tear of Etheliel, we are going to convert frost to fire damage, so we get burning stacks. And we're going to do Stalactite Rain, which allows you to do damage over time, which allows us, again, to apply our stacks more frequently. For Gunslinger's brand, you have to have Leave No Witnesses, increase the number of targets by 5. Tie that in with Wild Gunsman, makes it so we are going to do 10 shots, and we can do that to a single target enemy. Endless Throws will then increase our critical damage for each element stack on an enemy. It's something like 3% per stack, so you're talking about an easy 100-150 increased critical strike damage, which is a nice multiplicative damage on there. For Avenger's Auto Turret, we will be looking at autonomous sensors, which allows it to rotate and auto-target, as well as convert physical damage to lightning damage. If you don't have autonomous sensors, you basically won't be able to hit anything because everything will be moving, and we need to convert into lightning to get our lightning damage stacks. For Phantom Blade, we will convert physical into toxic damage with Noxious Contamination, as well as Gliding Friction, which leaves a damaging cloud on the ground, allowing you to apply your stacks a little bit better there. For Mark of Impurity, the ones that you have to have on here are Cursed Blade. Marked enemies are inflicted with Curse, which is good. You get 10 free stacks on that. And then you probably want to run Fate of the Unholy. It's not going to help with the bosses, but it helps with everything else quite nicely. Enemies killed will explode for their max HP. You can clear out entire packs pretty dang quickly. Aether Jump. We are doing March of Time Devourers, and this reduces its cooldown to 0, but makes it so it doubles in cost every single time you cast it. However, we are still going to get Continuum Expertise, which reduces its cooldown, even though it has 0 cooldown. What it's actually reducing is the amount of time it takes to reset back to its base cost. that is it for the modifiers. Alright, for ability points, basically everything goes into wisdom because wisdom is going to become crit chance. Everything else goes into toughness until you hit basically the ability to not get one hit. You put everything into toughness and then the rest into wisdom. You don't want to have too much more HP than preventing one shots because you're going to be healing so quickly. I like to have an effective, for end game, I like to have an effective HP of about 400 to 500,000 HP, which works out to be about 80,000 health with about 80% resistances. So if you get more resistances, you can have less health. If you get more health, you can have less resistances. I would err on the side of having more resistances than more health. For gear, it's where it gets a little bit complicated. You have to make sure, the number one thing is you have to make sure you have enough transfer reduction speed that you can spam your abilities correctly. It works out to be about a total of 70%. Keep in mind your catalyst is a negative and everything else is a positive. And what we're looking for is a positive integer. So once you have positive about 70%, you're good. Obviously positive 100% or anything is better. And the complicated portion of this is your plus damage needs to be frost for attacks. It needs to be frost and rend only. Or if you have other stats, you need to make sure frost and rend is higher than those other stats. You need frost to be the highest, so I actually need to regem this. I was testing some things. You need frost to be the highest because if you don't have frost on these, your attacks are not going to crit if frost isn't the highest. And then secondarily, you need rend to be the second highest, so Gunslinger brand is both doing frost and rend. That way you're getting your rend dots. So that is a little bit complicated, but you have to have that. And for spell damage, your plus spell damage, your frost needs to be higher than everything else. So you can have other plus spell damage as long as your frost is higher, because all of your spells already have an element. So if you don't have frost being higher than any other element, you're only going to apply the base element of the spell plus whatever the highest element is. So we need it to be plus to frost. Okay, that's the end of the complicated portions of the gear. I will link a spreadsheet. This is just for my personal use. It just has a lot of my equations and stuff on here of theoretical best gear. This is just for my personal use, so I'm not doing this to publicize. So this is just added bonus for you guys to reference. But for pants, you need cooldown and transfer reduction because only pants, chest, and helm can have cooldown and transfer reduction, and we're already -1 item. So pants are pretty limited on that. Helm, you want as high resistances as possible with plus cooldown. For every single piece of gear that can roll a stat, you want it to roll a stat because a stat is a suffix, not a prefix, and each item can have 3 suffixes and 3 prefixes. Typically, the suffixes are better, or the prefixes are better, and the suffixes are worse. However, the suffix for these are plus stats, so you need either like wisdom or toughness are your primary stats you're going to be looking for. Ferocity is not bad, but wisdom or toughness is best. For every other item, you're just looking as much resistance as you can, and then obviously getting a stat on there is good. You'll look for crit chance isn't bad, all resistance isn't bad, percent isn't bad, wisdom is good, toughness is good, things like that. For rings, you need, again, your frost damage total to be higher than anything else. So I do have plus lightning on this, but because my frost is higher than my plus lightning, I'm okay. Ring can very, very rarely roll transfer time decrease. So I don't know if it's rare for everyone, but I've literally only seen it once, and I saw it on this ring. But rings, I want plus maximum health and transfer time if possible, but otherwise, just plus maximum health and ailment chance score is good to have. Catalyst, you want as low transfer time reduction as possible. Ailment chance. Spell leech would be good. I don't have it, but once you have spell leech, you can drop that global leech node in the passive tree, saving you 2 points. Frost damage is good. Spellcasting speed is okay. Critical damage is great. Now I'm going to teach you a way to get good gear in this game. This is going to make the video a little bit longer, but some of you guys said that you prefer the more intense educational videos, so I'm going to balance this out. What I did to get all of my gear really nice is, you see how on here it says plus 20 toughness? It's the only gray stat. The implicit or explicit, whatever the word is, the gray stat there. That's what we need. So what I do is I collect gear that all has the highest possible rolls for that. And the rolls are different per item. I still haven't found an amulet that has plus 20 to all stats, but I should be able to get an amulet that's plus 20 to all stats, which is best. Catalyst with a negative 50. And what you do is before every run, you pop one of these that you've collected into the dark market item rarity. And basically what you're doing is you're giving yourself a chance to god roll an item because its base stats are already good. You can god roll this item. So I would do that once you're farming 151. As long as you're 151 or above, the stats seem to stay the same. There doesn't seem to be much of a reason to do above 151. Some people are saying 163. My testing, I was able to god roll everything at like 151. So jury's out. But so you would do this every single time, as well as doing all of your primordial affinities, anything that says gold and primordial, to make sure you can keep doing it and you're never running out. And always do legendary ethereal reagents. So once you're doing this, you're getting one free legendary item, and then you also roll it. You're getting a free entropy orb every single time, basically. So you basically get a legendary item and a chance to re-roll a legendary item every single run. You need to get your productivity up so that you can do a run that will net that, but that's how you get good gear end game rather than just relying on luck of rolls. I find that I can get a really good item or a decent item anywhere from 5 to 20, you know, a 1 in 5 to 1 in 20 chance should net me a good item each time. And basically you're getting 2 chances each run. So it should take you anywhere from 3 runs to, you know, 6 or 7 runs to get a pretty decent item, which isn't bad at all. If you're doing this build, you can do a run in, you know, of all 3 levels in 12 minutes or so. So not too bad. So that is it for gear. I know this section was a little bit long, but I wanted to educate you on how to get some good gear. Alright, for passives, go ahead and pause the tree here. Go back to the beginning of the video for the full passive tree. I will go ahead and show you the leveling path we will take. Come up through here, grab your ailment stacks, come down through here, ailment multiplier, and ability to apply 2 ailments. Now we'll go ahead and take ailment damage. Come down here, grab a little bit of global life leech. You can go ahead and drop this once you've got a little bit of life leech on your gear, both spell and attack damage. We'll grab ailment stacks, delay damage, and more ailment stacks. We'll take the stasis node. This is basically like having a 120% crit chance, crit damage on our build. So it's not a huge damage multiplier with this build in particular, but it is nice to have. At this point, you're probably not feeling the hurt as far as tankiness. You're only level 29, so you can come up through here and grab more crit nodes. You could probably go ahead and take the crit for ailments over here, and then come down here and take cooldown reduction along with some ailment chance. At 46, you're probably starting to feel a little bit of hurt, so we'll go ahead and take some of these resistance nodes. Come through here, more resistance, little HP and crit damage, more resistance. This node is wasted because we can't use a heavy chest. However, if you have a heavy helm with high resistances, I would highly suggest taking this node, as that is going to be a huge increase in your score. Come through here, take our crit chance nodes, and this is going to be the basis of your build. We probably should have taken this a little bit earlier. When we were taking these nodes, I would have taken these critical chance nodes. And this is the base of your build. Now, for resistances, this node will give you about 3,000 to 5,000 HP. These will give you, this toughness node will give you 2,000 to 3,000 HP. And these HP nodes will only give you like 1,000 to 2,000 HP. So toughness for this first, then toughness, and then into the max HP nodes. The ferocity nodes will give you like 1 to 2% crit, so they're not bad to have, but definitely not necessary. You have some melee critical damage, some critical damage and all resistances you can take over here. And that is more or less the base of the build once we go ahead and finalize our ailment stacks over here. And yeah, that's looking good. Once you've done all of this, you're already level 81, 82, and this is where you can come through here and grab this node, which will allow you to have 50% ailment chance score and 50% crit chance score. And with the Frostweave chest, ailment chance is the same as crit chance, so this is 100% critical chance score, which is a huge, huge multiplier. It'll give you somewhere between 8 and 15%, depending on your gear and stat layout. Excuse me. And so the reason we don't do this until level 90 is it kind of is hard to keep up. So I'd rather do everything that's passive and easy and then do this. It also changes which ailments we need to be applying when, because the ailment chance is from lightning and the critical chance is from frost. So you have to be doing only frost and lightning spells. I'll do a level 90 guide that'll explain that. Anyways, I'll be on Twitch for a little bit after this and explaining the build, any questions, anything like that. I've been JK Peace. Y'all have a good one.